With more affordable watches hitting the market than ever before, it's not easy sorting the wheat from the chaff, so I've stuffed everything into the horological combine harvester for you for another monthly roundup of the best and most interesting affordable watches hitting the shelves. Stay to the end for an outro that will really bookend this list. Feeling humbled and blessed is the next best thing to enlightenment, and if you don't believe me, why not get one of these humbled and blessed sweaters and see for yourself? Not only will you get to feel the satisfaction of proving me wrong, you'll also be supporting the channel. Thanks. The sector dial may have drawn inspiration from military watches just to move units with civilians, with no measurable difference in readability compared to a standard dial, but boy do they ever look good. There's something incredibly macho about a sniper rifle scope that just makes you want to cradle a fake plastic baby. Parea has set its sights on an opportunity to capture the affordable crosshair dial market with its own sector watch, brought into 3D relief in a way that steers it more into 50s kitsch diner territory. The raised markings, all entirely loomed by the way, surrounded by a ridged disc in purple, green, red, blue or black, may look like the inside of a jukebox. But thanks to a solidly reliable Miyota 9039, you shouldn't need Henry Winkler to fix it for you. The sculpted 39mm case keeps a low profile at just under a centimetre thick, and Parea are even throwing in 2 straps, a watch roll, free shipping, not to mention a UV torch for charging up that loom with. The torch also doubles up as a hotel room cleanliness inspector. The watch is to be found on Kickstarter for a starting price of $399. The first of a few affordable tourbillons today is brought to you by Charles Berret, everyone's favourite Cluedo character. That's Clue for the Americans. Where's Wally got the dough? This time Charles Berret's put down the lead pipe in the drawing room and been up to no good in the watchmaker's workshop with the screwdrivers instead, with the Kaze 2.0. It will come as no surprise that the 30-piece limited edition Kaze 2.0 is an evolution of the original Kaze, this time with a salmon dial and a tourbillon caliber coated in gold instead of black. It's from that mechanism the watch gets its name, with tourbillon, French for whirlwind, and Kaze, Japanese for eating too many edamame beans. The open-work tourbillon caliber brings the 39.5mm grade 5 titanium case to 12.5mm thick, setting it right on the sweet spot for universally comfortable wearing, especially with its pebble-like profile, whilst the dial is stamped into a tremblage-style effect that offers a taste of Langer's Handwerkskunst without the fear of syllables being taken out of context. Enjoy this Japanese breeze, likely made in China, for £1,044. You can always count on Mr. Jones to capture what it must have been like at Woodstock, only with less mud and more watches. The Continuum is, as ever, an acid trip on a strap, this time capturing the imagination of artist Jacqueline Coley, and her desire to get blasted by little green men. In amongst a universe of astronomical phenomena, like a shooting star, swirling galaxy and interstellar butthole, a rocket tears into orbit to escape the wrath of the alien hordes, apparently leaving poor Jacqueline behind to face her inevitable spaghettification at the hands of the aliens' neutron weapon. It's an important reminder to never trust anyone from anywhere else, especially when rocking up without asking first. As is Mr. Jones' tradition, this printed fever dream is also a watch, the jump hour clearly visible occupying the rocket's lower decks, and the minutes a little less obviously demarcated by the orbiting comet. The trail of flame serves as a good reminder when you're running 5 minutes late. To top off this mechanical limited edition, the distant galaxy turns as a running seconds indicator to let you know time isn't just standing still. Jacqueline's astronomical prints are also available as t-shirts. At last, Brew Watch Go has woken up and smelt the coffee with a mechanical addition to its immensely popular metric lineup. It may only be powered by a Seiko NH35 automatic, but the high quality we've come to expect from Brew, coupled with a £393 price tag, make this a well-balanced option alongside the original quartz alternatives. The case and bracelet is almost exactly as you remember it in that TV style at 36x41mm, only this time minus the chronograph pushers off the base metric, since it's a time-only automatic. The cleaner dial devoid of subdials makes use of the colours most likely to run out on your inkjet printer, cyan and yellow, with a splash of red for the centre seconds and a deep blue backdrop for the whole ensemble. The caseback gets a what the watchmaker saw peephole to view the NH35's balance wheel, although despite the rear being screwed more than a one-coin investor, only 50 meters of water resistance is possible. A quick release bracelet allows for simple swapping to an optional leather or rubber strap. It's still a distinctly standout piece that's finally making the most of its owner's caffeinated energy. If you love the Man Manhattan 37's more reserved size, but also love the Manhattan 39 Ultra Thin's ultra thinness, and have found yourself at a decision-making crossroads, then ponder no more, because Man's decided it's opening a bakery that sells cakes you can eat and have too. This is the Manhattan 37 Ultra Thin, the vintage Vacheron-inspired design in the smaller 37mm format, now also packing the hand-wound ETA 7001 for a sub 7mm thickness. It even sports the horological thigh gap, not just fitting under a cuff, but leaving a little space between for good measure. I can hardly believe it's not on a Zempic. The series has consistently been one of the affordable gems at sub £1,000, built with meticulous attention to detail in a way that feels like it'll last the duration, and then some. The signed double deployant push-button clasp doesn't need to be this well made, but it is. Neither did the 100-meter water-resistant case. And for this 37 Ultra Thin edition in particular comes the added benefit of a hammered textured dial, taking over from the original straight grain, available in blue, green, silver, and also sporting a second subdial instead of the date. Haute hand grenade chic blew up the scene in 2019 with Patek Philippe's khaki green Aquanaut finally bringing together high horology and incendiary infantry immobilization. But such a blend of grandeur and death has been the exclusive pleasure of the well-heeled. That is, until now, because Benrus is here with the 3061 GT to bring this explosive experience to the masses. Of course, the GT in 3061 GT stands for Grenade Time, an obvious addition to the civilian variation of the military-issued DTU-2AP field watch. Of course, it would be uncouth to simply say the watch is based on a weapon of war, so Benrus has rustled up some kind of story about Steve McQueen, Bullet, and the San Francisco Grid. I mean, it's true, old Stevie did wear a Benrus in the film, pretty fond of a military-inspired watch as he was. This new one's a bit sturdier, however, the steel 39.5 by 9.95mm thick case comfortably 100-meter water resistant, and enjoying an ETA 2892 for timekeeping duties. The green grid dial texture is complemented with applied markers in the California style, because San Fran, and an orange second hand and leather strap to complement the picture. Yours for 1,665 Swiss francs. Question: what's crusty and filled to bursting with cream? No, not Bonnie Blue. It's the Italian snack that became the inspiration for the HTD Hesagraph Cannoli, the first watch from the brand 5 years ago, now revived to celebrate this anniversary. Drawing inspiration from the Hoya Carreras of yore, the stunning back-to-basics chronograph style with its contrasting twin subdial layout is sure to squeeze the filling from anyone's cannoli. The creamy inspiration is of course plastered all over the face, originally a Japanese technique I'm sure Charles Berret can think of a name for. With the markers aligned like the candles around the outside of this beautifully frosted cake, perhaps there's some portmanteau of beauty and cake that would work. If only I was clever enough to think of it. A high-quality Swiss Elite SW510 brings manual winding and a 39 by 12.4mm size for the steel case, which does without a tachymeter scale on the bezel as per those original racing chronographs. This watch is very much a celebration of the days before the Speedmaster came along and cluttered up the place. If this kind of cannoli is right up your alley, then you too, just like Bonnie Blue, can catch an HTD for just £1,320. Beda'a are back to make me look culturally insensitive by not remembering how to pronounce the name properly, but let's distract ourselves from that for a moment with the reason they've returned, the Eclipse II. A very different watch from the original Eclipse, but no less intriguing. The second installment in this Sunblock series offers a fresh aspect on the original jump hour caliber. With the hour disc pushed right up top and a second subdial taking pride of place at the bottom, the minutes are left to fend for themselves within the aventuring disc occupying the space in between. This eccentric layout has been made possible by the lovely people at Depraz, consultant manufacturers of all things that tick. The remaining area left either side gets a fan of stripes radiating from the minute hand's origin, filling the 37mm case with nothing left unconsidered. A little notch in the lower half of the strap makes way for the unusual 6 o'clock crown, whose stem somehow pierces straight through the arbor that holds the second hand in place. That makes this a surprisingly complex watch beneath the hood, one that's available for 4,000 Swiss francs. Here to answer the question, how many syllables is too many, is Venezianico, the watch collector's little secret to getting interesting watchmaking for not very much money. Usually, however, Vinny, I'm calling the brand Vinny from now on, was challenging prices around the €1,000 mark. So for the Redentore Utopia, a jump to €3,690 is quite the surprise. Redentore is of course how I like my pasta cooked. However, in the case of Vinny here, it's a leap into tradition that will make you forget that the price ever sounded high. Starting from the front, there's a dial handmade on a Rose engine in the old-fashioned way and not with automation, as Vinny goes to great pains to emphasize. The kind of craftsmanship that's usually found in watches multiples of the price. But where Vinny really gets his gabagool is with the Italian movement inside. Yes, that's right. You heard correctly. Where everyone else is pursuing the neutrality of Switzerland, Vinny is keeping it old school Italian with the return of Oysa, manufacturers of the caliber V5000. And it's a pretty caliber, hand-wound and with a balance bridge proudly on display. It's beautiful and Italian, and I'm sure it won't spontaneously catch fire. Mostly sure. Don't mistake the Orion Hellcat Black Mother of Pearl for Dimebag Darrell's guitar, because it is, in fact, a watch. For 835 of your finest stateside dollars, this otherwise ordinary but well-spec'd watch gets a servicing of Mother Nature's favourite mollusk, the iridescent oyster. Whilst I'm unhappy that people insist on necking slimy salt gobs and saying it's good, I can at least acknowledge that this sea critter's shell is well worth hanging on to. But it can in some use cases lack a certain geometric masculinity, and that's where Orion takes things a bit further with the Hellcat Black Mother of Pearl, applying a triangular grid onto the Mother of Pearl to make sure it doesn't turn you to bingo and getting up really early in the morning. The view is somewhat similar to the slave shield that will be put in place around Earth once the aliens get wind of our awful taste in reality TV and killing each other. It's for our own good. The 36.5 by 9.9mm thick watch in steel is built to resist 100 meters of water should you ever wish to go threaten live oysters with it, and stays operational thanks to Myota's steadfast caliber 9039, viewable through a Sapphire caseback. The mildly passive-aggressive copy on the website lets you know that someone very fastidious is behind this project, so you know it'll be well made. My Patreons are absolute legends, and I wouldn't be able to make these videos without them. Thank you, Patreons. If you'd like to join our secret club where we all talk about the real watch stuff and not this fake nonsense watch stuff, you'll find a link in the description below. Letterbox peepers the world over will have enjoyed the return of Amida's anamorphic Digitrend, a retro-futuristic attempt to keep the mechanical watch relevant against the onslaught of actually accurate and useful Japanese quartz. These days, with atomic time but a glance away, those kitschy attempts to flail at a formidable foe are actually much more appealing, and even more so with the top down. Unleashing the engine bay is a fresh update to the Digitrend, whose metal shell has been replaced by a Targa glass element reminiscent of the 911 Targa with its curvy Targa glass that gives it its Targa name. So naturally, this Digitrend is called the Digitrend Open Sapphire. Porsche lawyers, stand down. Not only does this prevent the watch being mistaken for a 1950s electric shaver, it also allows occupants of this particular Targa to appreciate the inner workings that make the driver's eye display work. Where the discs for hours and minutes may look upright from the reading position, the open sapphire caseback reveals the magician's secret that the discs are indeed laid flat and brought up to an angle through the use of a prism. Pink Floyd would approve. The 39mm steel case remains 16mm tall, 50 meters water resistant, and starts at 4,500 Swiss francs on a sporty Alcantara strap, with a metal bracelet available for another 350 Swiss francs more. If waiting for an enamel Anordane sounds like a bad time for you, then why not wait for a porcelain Anordane instead? Welcome to the Model 2 Porcelain, which switches grand faux enamel fired at 800 degrees for another artisanal technique for making especially lovely dials. This brittle ceramic is best known for propping up the Ming dynasty, whose delicate earthenware has made many a headline for ending up in pieces. And now this problematic pottery can be yours inside an Anordane too. But since porcelain looks all but identical to enamel and is so much more challenging to make, why bother? Because it's either that or Call of Duty, and Anordane figured perhaps improving its KD ratio might be a bit less productive. For dials especially, porcelain has to be reformulated to prevent cracking in everyday use, and Anordane's newfound in-house capability has been developed closely with master potterers to prevent this from happening. The 39.5mm steel case gets its porcelain with a black glaze and is yours for just £2,160. Aeson's integrated hang watch gets a specific twist for the ANHS02 thanks to the inclusion of a stone dial. But before you roll your eyes at the thought of yet another piece of lapis lazuli making its way behind a pair of hands, check this out. What we've got here instead is petersite. First discovered by a guy called, yes, Sid. Petersite is a mineral known especially for its wild chatoyancy and brecciated structure, which for you non-rockhounds out there means it looks like an old dog's eye. The milky blue swirls have also been likened to a roaring ocean, a painter's palette, and a car parking scrape. Whichever way you see it, it's yours for £575, contained within the 40mm stainless steel integrated case and matching bracelet of the ANHS02. The watch is water resistant to 100 meters, is fitted with the Myota 9039, and may contain the curse of 1,000 souls. Sometimes all you want is a Lange chronograph for less than £200, and whilst you'll need to partake of the pipe of crack to even begin to consider that a possibility, it's perhaps not quite as ludicrous an idea as it may seem. According to Vescari Chestor, Gothic elegance should be democratised, at least with a Myota mecha quartz in place of Lange's mechanical metropolis. The 40mm watch in a rose gold toned coating has the power to make any wrist upper class with its combination of contrasting colours, brush finishes, and applied Arabic numerals. Sword hands slice around the dial like a Tomb Raider booby trap, guarding the precious treasure glistening below. It's not an amazing watch, but it's definitely not a terrible one either, and if you've blown your budget on the top hat and cane already and didn't leave enough for a sophisticated timepiece, Vescari will get you out of a bind. It truly is remarkable what's possible at some of the lowest prices without being utter codswallop. Staple watch materials like steel and sapphire are all present and correct, and the Chester even claims 100-meter water resistance, although I think it's got more chance of winning a GPHG award. Tokyo-based watch retailer Chrono Theory has had enough of hypotheses, putting its book smarts to practical use for the first time with its very own watch, available in black, blue or bronze. The design combines classical elements from wristwatches of the 30s and 40s, with the simplistic aesthetic lavished with attention to detail to bring it to the exacting standards the Japanese are known for. Dial side, your choice is brushed or lacquered, with all 3 sub-second options set with leaf hands and Breguet numerals polished to a distortion-free shine. Look closely for details like the hand stack cap and beveled hand centers, all deliberately included to reward the time taken to nitpick. The 42mm case is given no less attention, crisp lines and a ripple-free shine making it a personal hall of mirrors. And of course, where the theory really gets put into practice is with the caliber, an ETA 6498 that's been through the same Kylie Jenner regimen of contouring and sweet potatoes, to come out the other side unrecognisable. The voracious level of upcycling found in this 6498 is borderline obsessive, with the beveling of the wheels and the replacement of the regulator unnecessarily extensive in the best way possible. The £11,000 price may not seem like a bargain, but believe me, it is. As every spacefaring alien knows, having the world times of the planet you're due to attack is vital for executing a coordinated occupation. For any interstellar invader intending to wing it, let Denis Villeneuve's documentary Arrival be a lesson on the importance of proper planning, so you don't arrive early and hang around looking like a tit. And so the Spaceone Worldtimer, with Theo Offray at the helm once again, has repurposed C-3PO Sphincter into the time-telling capabilities of the future. Sitting somewhere between the original jump hour and the out-of-this-world tellurium, the Worldtimer, with its SOP-ROD-based module, presents hours at 6, minutes and seconds at 3, and the world time at 9. Door frames, beware this 42 by 52 by 16mm thick beast. Although in true Space One style, the numbers don't tell the whole story, designed to wear a bit more Enterprise than Nostromo. The isolated sapphire domes are responsible for most of the thickness, the space between tapered to a more wearable dimension. As with all Space Ones so far, the Worldtimer is intended to bring extraterrestrial technology at a down-to-earth price, starting at £2,820 in Grade 5 titanium. Colour choices include bare metal, stealthy black, or R2-D2 blue. Sometimes you wake up and all you want to do is pay just $289 for a tourbillon. It's an unreasonable demand, but thanks to Merkur, not an impossible one. Yes, for just £289, Merkur will sell you an actual tourbillon watch with a tourbillon and everything. And there's even a very decent chance that it will actually work. Budget Chinese watchmaking has come so far in reliability that we're actually at the point where a real functioning tourbillon for the price of a Taylor Swift ticket is possible. Although I'm not sure I'd rely on either of them to keep decent timing. Don't look too close, however, because whilst the Merkur brings operational competence, the level of fit and finish makes OceanGate look good. The oily bits are best appreciated at a respectable distance, ideally through a squint if your eyesight is anything close to 20/20. Through that hazy view, you'll notice that Merkur have been less than subtle in drawing inspiration from everybody's favourite Swiss troublemaker, Moser. Although I don't think the Schaffhausen brand has much to be worried about unless it plans on releasing a line of watches whose mechanics have been inspired by the Lada car company. Still, for $289? Never mind the jump hour, what about jump hours? That's right, just like you and I, Olto8 has been kept awake at night wondering what would happen if you didn't just jump 1 hour, but all of them. This is the Olto8 Chronogate, and it's chock full of surprises, the first being that it's not a chronograph and never had any intention of being one, despite the misleading name. Instead, it's a dual personality 24-hour watch that ditches the stupid date window in favour of something more immediately useful. For those that need that sense of reward more frequently than once a day, the Chronogate swaps its hour marker every 12 hours to keep you bang on military time. At the heart of this grand plan is the caliber OTG102, whose jump hour mechanism is unlocked by the key seen through the aperture at 12 o'clock. It won't open your sister's diary, but it will shift the hour disc 1 notch forward, switching out the traditional 12-hour display for all the teens, plus a few more. Kickstarter prices for this 39 by 14mm watch in stainless steel start at a surprisingly achievable $399. YouTube is an idiot, so I need you to tell it that this video is worth watching by giving it a like, making sure you're subscribed and leaving a comment below. If you can't think of what to write, just paste in the last text message you sent and we'll see how it goes. Thanks. The rumours were true. Casio, creators of the plastic fantastic F91W, have gone to the darker side of mechanical to raid the wallets of budget collectors everywhere. From $340, Casio will now be selling you a stainless steel wristwatch powered by the potential energy of a spring, rather than potentially needing a new battery. Given that Casio is just a tiny brand with no real budget for R&D, it's chosen to fit this EFK100 with a Seiko NH35. So collectors expecting something proprietary will be disappointed, but I don't think that's going to matter one jot. The hybrid integrated case that appears to be surprisingly well made is going to have watch buyers extremely keen, hence the name EFK. The 100 part of the watch's title references the meterage of water resistance achievable by this 39mm wristwatch. But the part that I think is going to make people fill their knickers is the way it looks. The dial blends mature simplicity with a multi-level structure and an interesting dial texture, so it feels both very much part of the Edifice collection, but also surprisingly distinct. Throw in the slightly pricier option for forged carbon fibre on a black rubber strap, and I think Casio are onto a winner. It looks like Tudor's double dog dared itself to append its daring collection once again, and what a big risk it is to add a black bay with a dial colour that's as addictive as the crystal meth it's based on. This black bay is a Black Bay 54 specifically, which, if you'll recall, is the 37mm addition to the Black Bay family. Only here the sun-brushed black gets swapped out for a mottled blue dial in a summer-themed shade of swimming pool. There's no piss in this deep end, however, the colour crisp and uncluttered thanks to complementary print tones and those skinny white pool noodles pointing out the time. More unexpected is the switcheroo of anodized aluminium for a bright mirror polish for the bezel, which I'm sure will get scratched faster than you can say, "Pass me the sunscreen." It's a fresh summer feeling for Black Bay aficionados looking to make their wrist look like a toothpaste commercial. On the 5-link, totally not a Jubilee bracelet, it'll set you back around £3,590, or the entire holiday budget. And remember, those who wear Tiffany blue look cooler and live longer. If it's not that, I don't know why people get so crazy over it. See you next time.